Hey everybody, happy Friday! How's it going? I am really looking forward to the weekend, I have to say. It's pretty much always the case, but I have a lot of really cool stuff planned in terms of language learning and some really exciting projects that you'll be hearing about soon on this channel. And so I want to end the week with a really nice topic, which is all about getting over the fear of speaking in a new language, or certainly starting to speak. And I think if this does not impact everybody, it's gotta be pretty close. It's just scary, right? It's an uncomfortable thing to start speaking to another person in a foreign language. And I have to say, the most stressful version of that is when your first conversations in a new language are on camera, going on YouTube on massive channels with really big audiences. It's terrifying, and that's what I've done recently. So a lot of you will know that I was recently, making my very first all German videos, and I was really excited, just happy with myself that I just got through a video all in German and was able to express any form of my ideas. It was so exciting. I'll link that video down below. If you want to see somebody get really, really excited and happy, watch that video. But then within a few weeks, I was actually interviewed on the Easy German YouTube channel with the wonderful Carrie. And that was my second conversation in German since 5 years ago when I was in Hamburg, and I, hadn't actually spoken with a person since that time. The only other conversation I had was a few days prior when Carrie and I had a quick chat just to talk about the interview, and that was also in German. So, it was pretty terrifying. And then right after that, I got invited onto a wonderful YouTube channel called El Jardín de Martín. It's a Spanish YouTube channel primarily that deals with this wonderful guy named Martín who lives in Germany. And so he makes videos about being a Latino person living in Germany, and he has a ton of really entertaining, highly well-produced content. And he invited me to come on and do an interview in English, German, and Spanish. And I realized I hadn't spoken Spanish to a person, a real conversation with someone, in several years either. Because it's been a pretty weird few years for me in my language learning, because I have made the decision to sacrifice an enormous amount of the time I would normally be learning languages in order to do other things short term, although 3 years is not really short term, but things like writing my book, things like learning how to program and how to build Journaly, the web platform for journaling that's coming out soon. So I just haven't been using my languages as I normally would. And so literally my first real proper conversation in German essentially was on that Easy German YouTube video during that interview. And my first real Spanish conversation with a person in several years was also on YouTube on Martin's channel, which is coming out next week. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But so yeah, basically that's all just some background into some very recent experiences I have had when it comes to being kind of terrified, to start speaking with other people, and especially doing that on a stage, essentially, the stage of YouTube. Real quick, just want to show you the mug. I haven't used this one for a long time, but this color of blue, it just makes me happy. It feels like a good Friday mug. And so then, how do I deal with this, this fear of starting to speak? Well, I want to focus on one particular component today. It's going to be kind of short, but this really does help me, and I find that this is kind of one of the missing pieces for a lot of people, and why so many people are terribly afraid sometimes of taking those first steps. Essentially, that is that I think people really don't realize how close the goalposts are for that really big first, truly monumental goal in learning a language, which is having a real conversation with somebody, right? I know that everyone's goals are different, but I think a lot of us certainly have that as a goal, right? We want to be able to communicate with somebody else, to share and exchange ideas, and ideally have a really good conversation. And to do that, You don't need to be a spectacular speaker of the language. And that's why the interview that I recorded with Martín, that's again coming out next week on his channel, it was really interesting because, you know, we spoke in English, which is my native language and a foreign language for him. We spoke in Spanish, which is his native language and a foreign language for me. And again, I haven't spoken Spanish for a long time. I did a video in Spanish recently, which I'll link down below. And that was kind of a test to see how well I could at least do that. But then we both spoke in German, which of course is a foreign language for both of us. And for me in particular, really just now getting started speaking German with other people. And what was interesting is just to see how, even in German, right? Even in a language that is not our native language, either of us, and I certainly struggled. I'm pretty sure I made loads of grammatical mistakes in my German. But the thing is, we had a really, really good conversation. It was really enjoyable. And frankly, I think I could have continued talking to him in German for at least another hour and it would have been fine. He understood what I was saying. I understood what he was saying. I made loads of mistakes, I'm sure of it, but we had a great conversation, right? And that was such a nice reminder for me that, again, although I think we all would like to be, you know, really proficient speakers of the language that we're learning, we would like to be really skilled. We'd love to be able to speak making very few mistakes, maybe no mistakes, you know? We'd love to have the ability to choose all the right words at every moment and have a great accent and sound intelligent. That's all fine and good, and we can have those goals. But again, I think that what people often do is they forget that that latter goal, the goal of being that amazing speaker in the language you're learning, it is so much further away than what you need to accomplish the other one, which is just having a good conversation with somebody. So I think that really helps me to get over the fear of speaking. Now, it's of course one thing if you're speaking with maybe a tutor or a friend, right? Someone that understands the situation that you're in and they're not gonna judge you, you know? They're here for you, they're here to help you, and that's all that's really happening, right? It's another thing when you're putting that process on film, right, in front of many, many, many people. I mean, Easy German and Martín, they have huge YouTube channels, far bigger than mine. That's scary, but the reason why I decided to do both of those interviews, and especially in a language like German, where I really struggle, to be honest, it's because I feel like no one shows that part. And I'm hoping that if people can watch me struggling through my German, you know, really not having an easy time, but still managing to have a wonderful, delightful conversation and still being able to communicate my ideas despite all the imperfections and all the mistakes, I'm just hoping that that will help just a little bit to encourage people, yeah, just to realize, like I said, that you don't need to be an amazing speaker to have a wonderful conversation. So I hope that helps. Again, this is not a comprehensive guide on getting over the fear of speaking. It's just one really, really important point that I don't hear people mention often enough. And so, like I said, I decided I'm not just gonna talk about this, I'm gonna show it. So I'll leave a link down below to the German interview I did with Easy German, and I really am grateful for them for having me on their channel. And like I said, be on the lookout sometime next week on Martín's channel. I'll link that down below as well to see me do the interview in English, German, and Spanish and see how I did. But, you know, I'm really happy and I can't wait to now start speaking more and more. It is a pretty interesting method of getting speaking practice, just doing interviews. It's very stressful, but at the same time, it's really good practice. And yeah, maybe I'll start actually looking for some other opportunities to get that speaking practice. But one last bonus tip before we go is all the stuff I've talked about recently when it comes to speaking to yourself, right? My podcast interview method in particular. I'll leave links to that video down below as well. It really, really does help. And I think that these interviews I did recently, they are proof that that does transfer over to real conversations and real conversational skill. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. I already can't wait for next Monday's video. Like, I'm having so much fun doing these. I really appreciate all of you. But with that, I leave you. Happy Friday.